Conduct a cross-section survey, they find Americans almost unanimously willing to give Reaganomics a chance. Whatever the protestations of partisan politicians, Americans are more sophisticated than they used to be. And I use that word to connote enlightenment only. Overwhelmingly, surveyed Americans blamed our present economic distress on previous administrations. There is no quick fix. Maybe that phrase will not be remembered by history, but contemporary Americans have long enough been pigeons, overfed on political horse manure. Good day.
There are others in our society, such as Paul Harvey, who make it their business to comment on current affairs, and some of the most popular are to be found on newspaper editorial pages. Jerry Fearing has been an editorial cartoonist for the St. Paul Pioneer Press Dispatch for the last 14 years. Like most other editorial cartoonists, Fearing combines an ability in art with an interest in politics. Fearing and several other local cartoonists gathered today at a comic book convention in Bloomington. Fearing explained that a cartoon can pack more punch than a written editorial, but it can only convey more or less simple ideas.
And I think they figure about 6-7 seconds of the reader's time goes into the cartoon, so we can't hope to do an awful lot. So it's a race to try and catch their eye and say something very quickly, perhaps entertain them for a moment.
Fearing says a cartoonist can take more leeway with his subject than a writer or reporter.
That's true. A editorial cartoonist can get away with murder as far as the subject matter goes. George Bush is hard to draw. I never did think anyone was doing a very terribly good job with Jimmy Carter. And there have been many that come along who I don't think Dayton's going to be a good face to draw.
Why?
Well, there's just, he doesn't wear horn-rimmed glasses, he doesn't have a black mustache, he doesn't have the hair like Reagan or a nose like Nixon.
And where does Fearing get his ideas? Well, the Minnesota weather is a constant source. Brent, what about that weather? It is spring, right? It's April?
Well, it has been for the last 2 weeks. Someone said today, they said, gee, we went through spring, summer, and fall all in a 2-week period. But we are going to see some betterment toward the weather, and we'll have all the details coming up in a moment.
Solar power. Efforts are being made to develop its potential for the future, and NSP wants to know more about what practical uses solar energy has today. So at one of its service centers, NSP is testing solar water heating for possible commercial use. At an experimental house, NSP has been testing solar energy for residential use. NSP plans to expand the number of solar test sites to try and learn even more about using solar energy more efficiently.
SunShield avoids hazardous driving on bright, glaring days, whether winter or summer. SunShield, the visor accessory with screening filters superior to its imitators, lets you travel safe and relaxed. The SunShield visor with its exclusive reducing filters is just like putting expensive sunglasses on your car. For short drivers or tall, just flip your SunShield down as needed. SunShield, accept no substitutes.
For your driving pleasure, SunShield's available at Snyder Drugstores and Snyder Brothers Drugstores.
Bridgman's, we give any time a happy ending. And there's one in your favorite flavor waiting for you right now.
Bridgman's after all. Of all the radio stations in the Twin Cities, this is the perfect place to relax. FM 94 WAYL.
When we have a storm like we've had, well, for the past 24 hours, one thing we always look at is how low is the barometric pressure. And the pressure last night came within 0.2 of an inch of one of the lowest barometric pressures ever recorded. And that was in that wonderful storm we had in January 1975. So the potential was there for a lot more than we received. Let's go to our high temperature today. And this is quite interesting. That's right. 53 our high today, which occurred, interestingly enough, at 12:05 this morning. The temperature's been going down ever since. 19 was our low temperature so far today. Average for this time of year would be 48 and 29, so we're not really that far off. And the record 80, 1921, and the record low 9. 1954. Twin Cities now, sky is partly cloudy, temperature 19 degrees. The dew point at 8, relative humidity 62%. Winds are northwest at 30, they're gusting at times to 45, so it's still strong out there. Pressure is rising quite rapidly now from 29.72. That's a good sign. Precipitation total, we had 0.04 of an inch today and about a ½ inch of snow. So it really didn't amount too much, but we had the strong winds, of course, and that's what came through the area and blew it all around, made the driving quite hazardous. Here's our low temperature map for this morning. As you can see, we were well into the teens in our area. 20s, 30s, and 40s, all centered in the state of Wisconsin. That's where the low pressure center was. The temperature gradient that we had there was a good indication that some bad weather was going to be happening, and of course it did over the last 24 hours in our region. The satellite picture now shows still the area of cloudiness right up in here as we see Wisconsin, Lake Michigan, and the state of Michigan, and that of course is where the low pressure center is right now, and it's going to be moving quite rapidly toward the northeast, and as it does, the pressure is going to be rising in our area and the winds are going to die down, but not quite so quickly still tonight. We are going to continue with the windy conditions anywhere from 25 to 40 miles an hour, and we really won't see a decrease in those winds until sometime tomorrow. Some cool temperatures as well. Snow is still scattered from the northern portion of Minnesota, scattered all the way through the Ohio Valley. The weather we had last night is now centered around the eastern seaboard. There are still high weather warnings, weather advisories in effect for portions of Pennsylvania tonight. Rain from Maine all the way down into the state of Florida. Meanwhile, coming in on the Pacific Northwest, there's another weather system which is bringing some scattered precipitation to the Pacific Northwest into the Cascades. For us, though, high pressure will be building in a windy night, a chilly night, but some increase in our temperature tomorrow, and it looks like it might not be too bad for Sunday. Here's the details of our new Center 11 forecast now for tonight. Our winds will be slowly diminishing. We're going to see some clearing in the skies as well. The overnight low tonight, 5 to 12 degrees, and our winds from the northwest still at 30 to 40 miles an hour. For tomorrow, skies clear to partly cloudy, 15 to 22. The daytime high, winds from the northwest at 15 to 25 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, then, clear to partly cloudy, 10 to 15 for the chilly low. For Monday, we'll see an increase in the cloudiness. Temps will increase too, with 28 to 32 for the afternoon high.
Well, Brent, as you might imagine, there are a few people who have found a haven from the bad weather, and let's check back with them. Dennis Bounds and Dick Bramer at the Metrodome.
I have a feeling the Sports Commission may have ordered up this inclement weather just to prove the usefulness of the dome, but people are just beginning with the help of sympathetic island residents. A young woman approached an Israeli diplomat today as he walked through his Paris apartment hallway. She shot him 4 times in the head at point-blank range with a semi-automatic pistol. And Yakov Barsimantov died of his injuries 2 hours later. The assassin escaped on foot. It is the first time an Israeli diplomat has been assassinated in Paris. The Israeli ambassador to France blames the Palestine Liberation Organization for the murder, but the PLO denies those charges. Barsimantov worked as a political liaison between Israel and France. He was apparently not under any special security protection. For the second time in 3 days, the U.S. ambassador to Greece has narrowly escaped being the target of a terrorist attack. Again today, police in Athens defused a bomb discovered just outside the home of Ambassador Mont-Eagle Stearns. And an all-night aerial search off the Grecian coast of Crete has not turned up any sign of a missing CIA aircraft. Navy officials say the plane apparently crashed into the Mediterranean on a night flight to Crete. The 11 people on board are presumed dead. President Reagan hit the airwaves today with the first of 10 weekly radio speeches. His purpose, he says, is to talk directly with the people. He chose today to talk about the state of his economic recovery program. And while he stood firmly behind his actions, he also apologized for the suffering caused by his policies.
For a great many of you. We can, however, take some comfort from the fact that 99.5 million of our people are employed. Now, I know that's no comfort to those who want to work and can't find a job. And it's no comfort to farmers, independent business people, auto dealers, realtors, and building contractors who see themselves going out of business.
Reagan also blamed high interest rates for high inflation and reminded listeners that interest rates are not under his control. Right after the broadcast, a Democratic rebuttal from House DFL leader Jim Wright.
I renew the call for some flexibility, a little less rigidity, a willingness on the part of the president to recognize the harsh realities of suffering among those nearly 10 million Americans who've been thrown out of work.
Mr. Reagan also promised the economy will show improvement when the next tax cut comes in July. Wright called those same tax cuts favorable to the rich. At least 30 people are dead tonight after a huge storm system studded with tornadoes tore a swath through much of the Midwest last night. Meteorologists say they've rarely seen anything like it, a record-breaking low-pressure system that results in 2 very different air masses colliding with great force. Winds have nowhere to go but straight up, and that means deadly tornadoes. More from Barbara Rowan.
5 to 6 tornadoes ripped through a 50-mile section of western Arkansas, killing at least 13 people. One family of 5 was crushed to death when their home caved in. In Texas, tornadoes left a trail of death and destruction that stretched across 3 counties. Hardest hit was the city of Paris, about 100 miles northeast of Dallas. Most residents, like Cleo Patterson, had only a few minutes warning.
And I heard it when it hit sounded just like a freight train coming through. It said, woo, just jarred and hit.
8 people died in Paris, hundreds were treated for injuries, and thousands are homeless.
You're not going to be able to get through here. It's a restricted area.
Police and National Guardsmen patrolled the stricken areas to prevent looting. Last night, a 10 p.m. curfew was in effect. Early this morning, the searching began, sifting through the rubble for ruptured gas lines and searching for loved ones and friends. Reverend R.L. Gray.
All right, well, I'm going to have to move on. I'm looking for my grandkids. I can't get them spotted anywhere.
The Casa Bonita housing project just north of the business district suffered some of the worst damage. Elsewhere, neighbors pitched in to help with repairs and salvage efforts, or just to offer consolation.
My daughter and I both were praying, and that's what kept us safe. I know the Lord kept us safe.
This is all that remains of Victory Baptist Church. Although damage is estimated in the millions, most people are thankful just to be alive. Barbara Rowan, NBC News, Paris, Texas.
Well, we got off fairly easily compared to those people farther south, but it was the same violent weather system that brought us cold temperatures, high winds, and blowing snow today. That storm packed winds of up to 60 miles an hour. There were blizzard-like conditions for anyone trying to drive today. Traffic accidents left motorists caught in 20-car pileups like this one near the airport. It was the 6th such tie-up at this one spot today. Takeoffs and landings were canceled or delayed for most of the morning at the Twin Cities International Airport. The high winds toppled trees in several communities, and that left some area residents without electricity for a while today. All in all, a gentle reminder that we do live in Minnesota and that summer is still a long way off. Brent, you have been cautioning us about that, and we shall listen to you forever.
Well, good. A gentle reminder, I think, was a little more than gentle.
Just a gentle slap.
Yeah. Well, we did have a wind gust highest. It was 58 miles an hour this afternoon. We'll have more information coming up in a moment.
Slacks and a sport coat for under $100? I don't see how Foreman & Clark does it. I'm not complaining, but most stores sell that basic blazer for $125. Foreman & Clark charges just $75. And those Oxford weave slacks, $20 including alterations? Why, that's less than most places charge for the slacks alone. I ought to tell Foreman & Clark what their stuff is really worth. By golly, I will. Right after I buy everything I need.
If there's one job I hate, it's scrubbing the toilet. And you know what? I don't do it anymore. There's this different kind of chemical system. 2,000 flushes. Keeps the water crystal clear. Keeps the bowl sparkling clean continuously for about 4 months. No rings, no streaks, no stains. Just put the container in your tank and forget it. 2,000 flushes is proven safe on plumbing. Every time you flush, the chlorine crystals dissolve away rust and minerals. Keeps the bowl so sparkling clean, I don't scrub at all. And flushing sure beats brushing.
5, 4. Finally, America can get a free space program.
Fire.
Astro Smash. The cartridge is free by mail when you buy Intellivision in specially marked boxes. Get good at it and enter the Astro Smash shoot-off. Grand prize is $25,000. And there's more, because total prizes are worth $100,000. But hurry for the free space program. It won't be free forever.
Well, we had a wind gust this morning, 58 miles an hour. That was the highest wind gust reported here in the Twin Cities area. Down at Mankato, they reported winds as high as 80 miles an hour today, and it was quite common through the Midwest with the high winds. Our high temperature in the Twin Cities today, at 12:05 this morning, we were up to 53 degrees, and it just kept going down all day long. The daytime low was 18, 48.29 the average temperatures this time of year. Record high was 80 in 1921. Twin Cities now, the 10 p.m. Conditions, partly cloudy skies, temperature still at 18, Our dew point at 10, relative humidity at 70%. Winds from the northwest at 22. The pressure rising, and they say it's rising quite rapidly, 29.95 inches of mercury. That'll help in keeping those winds to die down. Precipitation total 400ths today, 500ths for the month, and that resulted in about 1/2 of an inch of snow, which just blew around everywhere in the area. Here the high temperature map for today, and as you can see, there were some 80s way down in Texas. 70s were quite prevalent in the southern part of the country. Then we get into our area with the 30s and the 20s and the teens. Way up in Canada, temperatures were in the single digits. Storm surge radar now is showing no precipitation around the region. We just see our normal ground clutter pattern showing up there. We had thought there might be some precipitation still showing up. We did have some very light snow in the area around 7 o'clock this evening. It's now dissipated. It looks like that's the kind of picture we're going to see on the radar for about the next 24 hours. And then by this time tomorrow night, we could have some more snow. We'll get to that in just a moment. Low pressure center is now located about Sault Ste. Marie in Michigan. It's moving off toward the northeast, and that's a good sign for us because as it moves out, the winds are going to die down. Still some scattered snow around the low. The cold front out ahead of it, which did bring all of the nasty weather to the midsection of the country yesterday with almost 80 tornado touchdowns, is weakening just a bit. Rain showers extending from Maine all the way down the Atlantic seaboard. Tornado touchdown this afternoon at Allentown, Pennsylvania, and winds up to 80 miles an hour at Baltimore, Maryland. High pressure center from the Yukon is going to be moving down a ridge of high pressure. It's going to clear out our skies somewhat tonight, give us a very cold evening, and then by this time tomorrow, another weather system is going to move through, bring us the possibility of some snow in the area late tomorrow night and again Monday. So that's a little bit of a change in our forecast. We thought maybe we were going to have some springtime weather coming in, but it looks like the first part of the week we could have winter all over again. Well, here's our forecast from News Center 11 tonight. Now, clear to partly cloudy. 5 to 12 for the low, with our winds northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow then, clear to partly cloudy skies, 15 to 22 the high, winds northeast at 5 to 15. The northeast winds mean a possibility of snow. 50% tomorrow night, late, 10 to 15 the overnight low, with Monday cloudy, snow, 28 to 32. Looks like by the time we get into the middle of next week, though, we could be back up into the 40s and 50s.
We'll play baseball through all of it, though.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Brent. Well, that is our news for right now. We will see you tomorrow at 5:30. Thanks for joining us. Good night. Loans that are now being held by savings and loan companies. Jeanette Harrison reports.
According to theory, the homes that have been bought by the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation, some 300 to 400,000 of them, come under a different set of lending rules, which would allow people selling homes to pass along their loans to the new buyers. That would mean many potential buyers who can't afford loans at the current 17 or 18% interest could buy a home with an assumable 8, 10, or 11% loan. Sound like good news for the homeowner? Well, it would be, except many realtors I spoke with today say they don't know anything about it. Many of the realtors we spoke with said they believe many local savings and loans companies that held the low-interest mortgages have already sold them long ago to investment and other companies. Other realtors said they had never heard of the assumable loans. But Joe Plansky had first-hand experience with the new rules just last week. He says 6 months ago, he had a buyer interested in a home which had originally been financed at 9 3/4%. And the seller was willing to let that loan be assumed, but the bank demanded the loan be renegotiated at 13% interest. And when Plansky checked again 2 months later, that figure had jumped to 17%. But last week, Plansky checked again. This time, the bank said the loan could be assumed at 9 3/4%. Why, he asked. Because they said the original loan had been sold. Polanski says that news could be the beginning of good news for home buyers.
We will be able to attract some, yes, those that can afford to buy will certainly buy a lot sooner at the 9 3/4 or 10 or 11 than with our current 15.5 FHA. You know, so we will get, it'll bring, I think, more buyers into the market if this does happen, yes.
But Polanski is a lot more optimistic than most realtors. Many of them told me they need to know more about the assumable loans before they sell their customers on promises they can't keep. Jeanette Harrison, News Center 11.
A place to call their own is important to most people, especially if they're battling a disease like alcoholism. As Mary Stuckey tells us tonight, one man in Minneapolis who tried to open a house for recovering alcoholics has met with failure.
Since January, recovering alcoholics have been able to live here and get support and counseling. Yesterday, that changed when the city closed this halfway house because of housing code violations and because it lacked city council approval. The house was run by the Mustangs, a group which raises much of its own money through bingo, dinners, and car washes. This place provided an alternative to the streets for alcoholics leaving institutional treatment. The head of the Mustang says he did not know he needed city council approval to run the house. He says he just saw a need and tried to fill it.
I just went ahead and did it. I didn't think it was doing nothing wrong. Listen to the alderman and that stuff talk. I guess there is people getting nervous, but I sure wish they'd come and tell me they're nervous. I don't think we've had one bit of trouble on anybody on the avenue.
According to reports, there have been no incidents of Mustang residents breaking the law. Former residents we talked to say they liked it here. They weren't drinking, and when they were kicked out yesterday, they say they had nowhere to go because other halfway houses are full. They say they thought of drinking again. Althoff still hopes to reopen this halfway house and intends to go to the city council for approval. Mary Stuckey, News Center 11 in Minneapolis.
It is Easter already in Poland, and a joyous one it must be for Solidarity leader-elect Wałęsa, who has been kept under internment and virtual isolation since the December martial law crackdown. Polish authorities have allowed Wałęsa to see his entire family for the Christian holy day. He is with them now for the first time in over 4 months. Brent Lawrence is here with the weather, and you've been saying some things that people around the newsroom have not been able to believe.
Oh, talking about things like convertible cars, maybe rolling the windows down, opening the windows in the house. How long has it been since we've done that?
Show me. Show me.
Well, we'll find out in just a minute as we have our Easter forecast coming up next.
Hello, Rusty Jones.
Hi, I'm Rusty Jones, and you know what? I'm the one new car option you can buy that'll appreciate in value. That's right, because I'll stay with your new car as long as you own it. Winter and summer, day and night, not even a coffee break. Working to save your car from rust. And a rust-free car is worth more. So at New Car Time, insist on Rusty Jones Rust Proof.
Hello, Rusty Jones. Goodbye, Rusty Cars.
The recent tax cut was the largest in history, and with more than 100 changes, the new laws are even more complex. I'm Henry Block with number 12 of my 17 reasons why H&R Block should prepare your taxes. Changing tax laws. We'll show you how the new laws help save money on your 1981 taxes and explain the many important changes for 1982.
H&R Block. 17 reasons, one smart decision.
You know one thing about these Roughies trash bags, they're just as tough as the expensive ones, and even cheaper than my brother-in-law. Look at him. Roughies are on a roll. It's more than I can say for Lamar. Dispenser pack. Keeps the prices down and pops them up one at a time. 2-ply Roughies. Tough as the expensive bags, but cheap as my brother-in-law. When do we eat? Cheap as my brother-in-law, so I don't mind throwing out either one of them.
Here at Towsley Ford Subaru in White Bear Lake, we're closed on Sundays, but tomorrow we're making an exception. We'll be open, but for browsing only. Take all the time you want to look over our huge inventory of over 600 cars and trucks, new and used. There'll be no salesman on the lot, just customers like yourself. Then come back on Monday for the Towsley Ford Subaru Country Style Buy. Remember, there'll be no salesman on the lot tomorrow. Take your time to look around. Then come back for Country Style savings on Monday. Towsley Ford Subaru, browsing tomorrow only, White Bear Lake.
We were looking over the weather records from this day last year. 71 was our high, 45 was our low. We remember that quite well. Looks like we're going to have a change in the weather patterns coming in, and for at least the next 4 or 5 days, temperatures are going to be about where they should be. Our high temperature in the Twin Cities today reached 37 degrees after a low this morning of 30. Average for this time of year would be 53, 32, the record high. 1977 with 88 degrees, record low was 18 in 1892. The Twin Cities now, the 10 o'clock readings, clear skies, temperature at 30, dew point at 20 degrees, relative humidity 68%. Winds now from the west at 8, The pressure is rising, a good sign for us, at 29.99. A trace precipitation with that mess we had this morning about 10 o'clock, the snow, and that really doesn't add anything to our total for the month, 0.17 of an inch. Here's our low temperature map from this morning. We were well into the 30s through much of the midsection of the country, and really not too many teens or single-digit numbers. 30s extended all the way from up there in the Pacific Northwest all the way back into portions of Virginia, and temperatures really didn't rise that much around the country today as well. Satellite picture is starting to show us now. Skies are starting to clear through the Midwest, and that's really a good sign for us. It's going to mean kind of a chilly evening for us tonight, but then some warming by tomorrow, and we're going to enjoy that as we head toward the beginning of next week. Dick could hardly believe it when I told him maybe the 60s by the time Monday rolls around. He's happy about that because it's his day off. Here's the cold front, which is now through the Great Lakes portion of the nation. There's still some scattered snow showers. They've just about ended now through portions of Wisconsin, and as it moves off, we're going to start seeing some nicer temperatures move into the area. Ridge of high pressure coming down from Canada. It's clearing the skies from west to east across Minnesota, and then our next weather maker is a warm front extending now through Nebraska and the Dakotas as it moves through 60s and 70-degree temperatures are behind there. And it looks like by Monday, the southwestern portion of Iowa could have temperatures into the 80s. Our forecast tonight from News Center 11 looks like this. It's calling for decreasing cloudiness this evening, 21 to 23, the overnight low, with our winds from the northwest at 10 to 20. For tomorrow, clear to partly cloudy, 48 to 52, south winds 10 to 25. On to tomorrow night, clear to partly cloudy, 34 to 39. For Monday, there's that 62 we were talking about. And as we look out toward the mid part of the week, skies will be partly cloudy, 55, 6, and 7 in that order.
Thank you.
You like?
I've waited for that for a long time.
For about 6 months,
yes,
since that ice storm of November.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
It may be the biggest Easter egg hunt in the Twin Cities, and the payoff is probably one of the biggest.
Get that winter oil out of your car. Get an oil change, lube, filter, and free 10-point maintenance check while you watch. Save $3 by mentioning Rapid Oil Change's spring sale. The spring sale is good through May 15th. Remember, there is still one place you don't need an appointment.
Bridgman's. We specialize in happy endings, and we make them in dozens of flavors. Let us make one just for you.
Bridgman's after all.
Here's where it all started, nearly 100 years ago. The Glenwood Spring below the W.H. Fruin farmhouse. Over the years, Glenwood Inglewood grew, and the equipment changed. But one thing has remained the same year in and year out. The great tasting, thirst-quenching Glenwood spring water. Times have changed, but you still can't get a better tasting drink of water.
Signs are positive tonight that an agreement may be reached between Argentina and Britain over the Falkland Islands. Officials close to those talks won't give details, but Secretary of State Alexander Haig has unexpectedly decided to stay on in Buenos Aires for more discussions. That follows a marathon session last night with Argentine President Galtieri and the Argentine Foreign Minister, and another 3.5-hour talk today with Argentina's military junta. Haig's Deputy Secretary of State, Walter Stessel, is troubleshooting in another part of the world, and he is also reporting some progress. Stessel has been meeting with Egyptian and Israeli officials to keep the Israeli pullout from the Sinai Desert on schedule. According to the Camp David agreement, that will be a week from tomorrow. Stessel will meet with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak tomorrow before returning to Jerusalem. He says he's confident the latest sticking points over borders and arms buildups will be worked out. American Indians say they are going to fight to maintain control over one of their biggest local projects, but the government wants to take it over. The Department of Housing and Urban Development says it's going to foreclose on the Little Earth housing project in Minneapolis. The 212-unit development is more than $1 million behind in mortgage payments to HUD, and it needs extensive repairs. Indians who run the project say HUD has never given Little Earth money to pay for those repairs, and rent collections have not provided enough on their own. They're trying to interest private investors in a partnership to run Little Earth. HUD says after the foreclosure, the housing project will be run by a professional management firm.
There are good signs tonight that the slump in our nation's housing industry may soon level off. The Commerce Department reports housing starts rose 2.5% in March. That's the 6th month in a row the figure has increased, however slightly. Currently, about 950,000 houses are built annually. On top of that good news comes a rosy assessment of our economy from Budget Director David Stockman. He told Republicans at a fundraiser in Michigan last night that the administration has purged the inflationary disease from our system. But Stockman also admitted he did not foresee our current deep recession. American Motors officials are meeting tonight with the United Auto Workers Union, and they are expected to reach a contract agreement at the close of today's session. UAW President Douglas Fraser joined those talks in Milwaukee today. The contract includes a plan to have workers lend part of their paychecks back to AMC, but the union wants supervisors to take a cut in pay beforehand. General Motors has reportedly wrapped up secret negotiations with the Toyota Motor Company, and it is possible the two will join together to produce small cars. A Japanese newspaper reports the two manufacturers have agreed in principle to start joint production in 1985. On to some medical news. Some heart transplants at the University of Minnesota will be paid for by Medicare over the next year and a half. The U of M hospitals have qualified as one of only 6 hospitals in the nation to get that federal money. It will be used to study whether heart transplant costs should be covered by Medicare and other agencies. Currently that is not the case because the operation is considered experimental. The death of a Down syndrome baby in Bloomington, Indiana hospital last week has many people very upset because the infant, who was severely afflicted with the retardation disease, was allowed to die. A court judge decided the baby's parents had the right to forego a life-saving operation for the newborn, and that has other parents of Down syndrome children in an uproar. We have this late report from Larry Kaufman.
Down syndrome is a disorder that causes various degrees of mental retardation and often physical defects. But as with the baby born last Friday at Bloomington Hospital, no one can predict at birth the degree of retardation. For the baby here, the immediate crisis had been an abnormal digestive tract. But the parents did not want the baby to live, and the court agreed. Julie Beasley knows the anguish. She and husband Chuck, after having 3 normal babies, had Tracy, now 16 months old, who was a Downs baby. The need for 2 life-saving surgeries and the prospect of a 3rd have not changed their minds about doing all they can to keep her alive. Not even when Tracy was 2 months old, getting progressively sicker from a blocked bile duct, and one doctor offered them the choice between treatment and doing nothing.
I looked at him more or less in disbelief. You know, it's like, why is he even doubting that we would want to do anything? You know, it's... And then you get angry. You know, as we left there, we were so angry.
Like the Beasleys, thousands of parents each year face the agonizing dilemma of what to do about a child born with mental or physical problems. Not all make the choice that life should continue. But for Sheila Hebine, head of the National Association for Down Syndrome in Chicago, and herself the mother of a Down's child, the injustice in the Bloomington case and others like it is that the baby would not have been denied treatment had it not been for the specter of retardation.
If the child would have been normal and needed the surgery, would there even have been a question? And if not, then I'm saying, then the courts are saying that a child with Down syndrome is not a child, not a human being. And
Barry Kaufman for NBC News.
Muscular dystrophy is also a childhood disease that brings pain to the hearts of parents, but something positive about that was being done today in Golden Valley. The 3rd annual Muscular Dystrophy Celebrity Bowl to raise money for the fight against MD, sponsored by Northern Cablevision. Local celebrities teamed up with local bowlers, raising money for the number of pins knocked down and the number of pledges taken. You see John Bachman taking part, as well as myself. Neither of us will brag about our scores. I will say, though, that the tournament raised over $5,000. That is twice what was raised last year. That was a good time today. I enjoyed it.
You won't tell me your score?
No,
he won't.
I don't want to keep it quiet.
It's a great day to be outside today, too. We had some strong winds, but people didn't notice them that much with the warm temperatures. Going to even be warmer tomorrow, and we'll have all the details coming up.
I work hard, and so should my money. That's why I changed to the new Sears U.S. Government Trust. Now I've got a chance to earn today's high money market yields without tying up my money. The Sears U.S. Government Money Market Trust. I like the sound of that. So does Joe and Jack and Frank. and Mary.
Get all the facts. Look for this insert in Sunday's paper. For more complete information, including charges and expenses, send for a prospectus. Read it carefully before you invest or send money.
When I'm out with Charlie, I travel light. So when I get hungry, I eat an apple. A delicious apple from Washington State. It's just as handy as junk food. Tastes better. Better for me. Plus, it doesn't put on extra pounds. So Washington State apples let me travel light. Here and here. Right?
Washington apples, good for you tree.
There's a radio station in the Twin Cities that's been putting dents in KS95.
Berglund, why are we doing this?
Not only are Hines and Berglund making a real impression on listeners, after their morning show, you'll hear 10 records in a row every hour.
We look silly.
So don't miss this dashing, dynamic duo that is Breakthrough Radio. Hines and Berglund, mornings on Music Radio 99.5 FM WLOL.
Hi, I've been telling you about the huge selections and incredibly low prices at the Minneapolis Miracle, the clothing distribution center. But what's really amazing is the quality of their clothing. Suits, sport coats, and slacks from the world's top makers. Famous labels that confirm their value. Luxury fabrics from the finest mills, like this wool blend vested suit, just $99.90, about half what you'd expect to pay. Come to Clothing Distribution Center. Get the clothing quality you really want for a lot less money.
Well, we had some rain last night at bedtime here in the Twin Cities area, but by this morning the sun was out. The rain had ended about 1:30 early this morning. We had the rain end in the Twin Cities area. It turned out to be a pretty nice day. Our high temperature in the Twin Cities today reached 58 degrees after a morning low of 38. We're just about where we should be in terms of the average for this time of year. 57 and 36, 1 or 2 degrees off from our high and low today. 79, 1911 for the record high, with our record low 19 and 1953. The Twin Cities now, as of 5 o'clock, partly cloudy skies, 56 degrees, the dew point at 28 degrees, relative humidity 34%. Winds from the northwest now at 18. They're starting to die down, a good sign for us. 30.05 and rising, the barometric pressure. Precipitation 200 since midnight. That gives us exactly 1 inch for our monthly total in terms of precipitation. Well, here's our low temperature map from this morning. 30s were quite prevalent in our immediate area. We had a large pocket of 20s out toward the western part of the country, and even a small area of teens centered through portions of Wyoming down into Colorado. That area is where the skies were for the most part clear. It's going to be moving our way, and we'll start to see some cooler temperatures in our region tonight. Latest satellite picture is giving us an indication of the cloud cover. Really mostly fair skies in our region now. Still some scattered clouds and a pocket of clouds down in the eastern part of Iowa, where they've had some very light rain showers occurring for the last couple of hours. That's going to be pretty much the only rain in our area for, well, at least the next couple of days, and then the possibility of some showers in the early part of the week. On the national map, the frontal system, which came through our area last night, is through the Ohio Valley right now. It is bringing some very heavy rain to that part of the country, and yesterday up to 14 tornadoes were reported through the Ohio Valley and portions of the Mississippi Valley. 2 inches of rain was quite common through portions of Kentucky, and that rain shower activity, of course, moving toward the east. High pressure is moving into our area. We'll clear our skies up somewhat tonight. Should be quite a nice evening for us. And then our next weather maker is a Pacific system, which is going to be moving in. It'll bring the possibility of some rain to the northern part of the state of Minnesota by tomorrow afternoon, and maybe some scattered sprinkles in the southern part of Minnesota by tomorrow night. Our new Center 11 forecast now for this evening looks like this. Clear skies, and it's going to be nice. 32 to 35, the overnight low, with our winds from the southwest at 5 to 15 this evening. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow, 58 to 62, the daytime high for Sunday, with our winds south-southwest 10 to 20. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, 30s for the overnight low. And for Monday, skies mostly cloudy, 48 to 56 the high. Looks pretty good, huh?
I don't like that raking, though.
Which one? Oh, that raking. I don't either. I wasn't out raking.
Eventually it'll have to be done. Thank you, Brent. Looking on the TV today, and we saw a familiar figure in somebody else's uniform.
Yeah, it seemed that way, didn't it? It didn't really look right to see Roy Smalley in the Yankee pinstripes, but we saw him nonetheless for most of it.
For free.
Nobody serves a republic like Republic.
what can you buy for $1 these days? Well, you can buy a toothbrush, a newspaper, a 2-scoop ice cream cone, a burger maybe, but a box spring for sure. You heard me right. At Slumberland, we're selling box springs for $1. Here's the deal. Buy any of these mattresses at the regular price, and we'll throw in the matching box spring for $1. Choose from 4 firmnesses. You buy the mattress, and the box spring costs you $1, 1 greenback, $1, 1 picture of Old George. That's all, and that's a good deal, and it's only at Slumberland.
Sunday only emergency clearance sale. Original oil painting, sofa-size frame, nothing over $69. Mini paintings as low as $5. Howard Johnson's in Bloomington, next to Met Stadium. Checks, Visa, MasterCard.
Looks like we're going to have a few changes in tomorrow's weather from what we told you earlier at 5:30 here on News Center 11. But all in all, a very nice day today with a lot of sunshine, some strong winds, but the temperatures were right about where they should be for this time of year. High temperature in the Twin Cities today, 58 degrees, 38 was our overnight low. Average 57 and 36, 79 for the record, 1911. 29 years ago in 1953. Twin Cities, as of 10 o'clock, skies now clear. Temperature at 45 with our dew point at 27 degrees. Relative humidity 45%. Winds now from the southwest at 7. Pressure is rising from 30.11 inches of mercury. 0.02 of an inch of precipitation, and the rain, which ended about 1:30 early this morning, gives us 1 inch exactly for the month here in the Twin Cities. Here's a look now at our latest satellite picture, and as you can see, skies are pretty much starting to clear now throughout the upper Midwest. We're starting to see a little bit more of cloud cover through portions of North Dakota. There's been some scattered rain, about a 100-mile band up around the Fargo, North Dakota area. That rain was moving toward the south and the east, but it looks like it's going to probably dissipate before it would get our way tonight, and that's going to be a good sign for us because it'll keep our weather for the most part dry during the daytime, and by tomorrow afternoon, possibly we might have some showers in the area. There's a cold front now, which came through our region last night, centered out through portions of the Ohio Valley down into the Gulf region, and there's been more heavy rain as the system starts to move toward the east, and it's actually the boundary line. This is really what we see now during the spring and summer as a spring and summer type pattern. The frontal systems are running primarily from north to south, and it's a good indication that all of the winter weather is definitely over for our area. All right, 2 inches of rain has been quite common through the midsection of the east. A tornado touchdown at Uniontown, Pennsylvania this afternoon. That's about 65 miles southeast of Pittsburgh, and some damaged buildings in that area. Heavy rain, as we said, but that's all moving toward the east and definitely not going to affect us. High pressure center down here in Oklahoma is going to be bringing mostly clear skies to our region tonight, continuing during tomorrow. But then our next weather maker is the system out in the Pacific Northwest. And as it comes through, it's going to bring us the possibility of some scattered rain into the area, probably northern Minnesota during the daytime tomorrow, some showers. Some scattered showers are possible in our immediate area coming up tomorrow afternoon, and then a better chance of rain for tomorrow night into Monday. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Frontal system up through the northern portion of Minnesota right now really isn't doing too much. There's been some scattered shower activity through portions of eastern North Dakota into northwestern Minnesota, and also a scattering of rain showers earlier this afternoon down through portions of eastern Iowa. Well, here's our forecast tonight from News Center 11, and it's shaping up like this. Clear skies during the evening. And our lows tonight, it's going to be a chilly one too, 32 to 35, with our winds from the southwest at 5 to 15 miles an hour. For tomorrow then, skies partly cloudy, 58 to 62 for the high, winds from the south to southwest at 10 to 20, and just a chance of maybe an isolated, very isolated shower tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow night then, variable cloudiness, 20% chance of showers, 30s for the overnight low. For Monday, as we're back to work, some of us are back to work. Variable cloudiness, 20% chance of showers, 48 to 56 for the high extended outlook showers, and cool conditions on Tuesday with about 48, fair and cool Wednesday, 50, 54 for Thursday.
You know, 50 does not seem cool, though.
No, average high, well, about 57 this time of year.
I'm still remembering below zero.
Me too.
Seems just fine.
Me too.
Thank you, Brent. Well, it is time to let go of the apron strings, sever the ties.
Created magnet or specialized programs include science, math, technology, the visual and performing arts, automotive, and business. There's already a big demand for the magnet programs. Kennedy Barber will graduate from North High this spring, but he wants to return next fall for 2 magnet programs, KBEM and the Visual and Performing Arts.
I feel it would be a very wonderful opportunity to further me before I go to college and take up some of these programs. I'm sure I won't get everything out of these programs, but I will know something when I get to college.
I still think those cars are up their old tricks. I'll blast them.
These are gifted children at Webster Elementary School. They're practicing a play for next Tuesday. Right now, only about half of the elementary schools and only one junior high have gifted programs for the exceptional students. Next year, all elementary and junior high schools will have these programs. These students are entering an age filled with technology. Tomorrow we'll take a look at how the Minneapolis schools are planning to prepare students for that future. Janet Mason, News Center 11, Minneapolis.
An unpredictable Wisconsin politician surprises everyone again, and Minneapolis homeowners get personalized help with energy conservation. We'll have those stories and more when News Center 11 continues.
Uh-oh, Foreman and Clark's door is open. Better check it out. Boy, Foreman and Clark has suit after suit after suit, and sport coats and slacks. Where's the light? Yeah, look at that. All kinds of styles and sizes. Thousands of them. Warehouse quantities. But it looks like and is a quality men's clothing store. Only $100 for that three-piece suit? Must be a mistake. I'd better get back in here early tomorrow and buy it before they correct the price.
Inside this envelope is an incredibly valuable personal code number. It's from Sprint, part of the $5 billion Southern Pacific organization. Sprint could cut your evening long-distance phone bills almost in half. A $5 phone call? No more. It's only about $2.50 with Sprint.
Oh, forget the cost. I'm using Sprint.
Call now. Get your personal code number from Sprint. Sprint. Long distance at half the price.
Look at your next paycheck. Near $270 a week may qualify you for a new Berkshire townhome or condominium by Orrin Thompson. If the two of you have take-home pay near $360 each week, a new Berkshire home may be yours.
We can do it!
Orrin Thompson Homes has created Berkshire designs and very special financing just when you thought you couldn't afford a home of your own. Look at your next paycheck. Then come out. Let's build you an Orrin Thompson home.
Here's where it all started, nearly 100 years ago. The Glenwood Spring below the W.H. Fruin farmhouse. Over the years, Glenwood Inglewood grew, and the equipment changed. But one thing has remained the same year in and year out. The great tasting, thirst-quenching Glenwood spring water. Times have changed, but you still can't get a better tasting drink of water.
A startling end to a flamboyant political career. Wisconsin Governor Lee Dreyfus has announced he will not seek a second four-year term in office. Dreyfus said personal reasons were behind his decision, and he said he will also turn down a federal job offered by the Reagan administration. Dreyfus, a Republican, emerged from obscurity as a college professor, capturing the governorship from Martin Schreiber in 1978. Experts in Wisconsin's Republican Party say the loss of Dreyfus will hurt the chances for another Republican governor this time around. The book has been closed on one of the longest and most controversial environmental court cases in our state. 25,000 pages of testimony from the case of the United States versus Reserve Mining were sent to the Federal Archives yesterday. Reserve Mining has agreed to reimburse the state and 4 North Shore cities nearly $2 million to cover the cost of water filtration systems. That water was polluted by asbestos fibers from taconite tailings, which Reserve dumped into Lake Superior for over 2 decades. Since 1980, those taconite wastes have been dumped on land. Reserve has been shut down for 6 weeks now due to low demand from the steel industry. It will open at half capacity on May 2nd. We will all be paying more for the natural gas we use. NSP and Minigasco have announced the average homeowner's bill next month will be about $3 higher. Now that's due to a proposed rate hike at the wholesale level by their supplier, the Northern Natural Gas Company of Omaha. The rate increase will affect more than 500,000 customers in the metro area. Getting more out of the energy we do use is the object of a new program that was kicked off in Minneapolis today, as city officials and Minigasco joined to distribute a new booklet called the Energy Guide. 150,000 copies of the guide will go to Minneapolis residents on Wednesday, but today some people got advance copies along with personal advice on how to weatherize their homes and streamline their energy use. And there are other benefits to getting involved with this
program. As part of the program, they get a free energy audit from the City Energy Office. They get a free safety inspection from Minigasco. And they get access to a program called the Energy Bank that provides low-interest loans for major weatherization improvements.
The so-called Energy Bank makes low-interest loans available to homeowners for energy improvements. Officials say the partnership between the city and the utility that made the program possible is the first of its kind in the country. The fifth largest employer in Albert Lea, Minnesota, will not shut down. It was announced today that a contract agreement has been reached between the Land O'Lakes turkey processing plant and its 300 food workers. The company said it needed to operate the plant at a lower cost or they'd shut it down. It'd been losing money for 7 years. Yesterday, the union members voted and approved the extension of their current contract through 1985. There were also some other contract modifications, but details were not given out. Weather like this is nothing to lose sleep over, but this is the season, in fact. This is the night to lose some sleep so that we can enjoy the warm sunshine a bit longer each day. Daylight savings time goes into effect tonight, so set your watches ahead 1 hour before you go to sleep, and don't forget to reset your alarm clock also. What is it, spring ahead, as they say?
Spring ahead, well, we were mentioning that.
Fall back, but now we spring ahead.
Said that for what, our 10 or 11 years? Both of us have been in broadcasting.
Hey, it was great today.
Super today. It's going to be a bit cooler tomorrow, but still well above normal from where we should be this time of year. And we'll have more on that coming up in a moment.
I'm flying Republic to Orlando.
And I'm flying along, free.
Now buy one full-fare adult coach ticket to any Republic city in the U.S. and bring someone along, free. It's Republic's 2-for-1 pair fare. Call Republic or your travel agent for details.
I'm flying Republic to see my mom. And I'm flying Republic to see her mom, too, for free.
Nobody serves a republic like Republic.
There are just a few hours left, but you still have time to take advantage of Towsley Ford Subaru's gigantic sell-a-thon and get up to $2,000 cash bonuses from Ford and Ford Car Care coverage. Towsley cash bonuses on every Subaru car and truck in stock, on top of our sell-a-thon prices, but don't wait another minute. Everything is sell-a-thon priced, every car, every truck, every used car, but it's all over tonight at 10 p.m. Don't miss this chance to buy the new car or truck while prices are down. Follow the searchlight to Towsley Ford Subaru White Bear Lake till 10 o'clock tonight.
Get that winter oil out of your car. Get an oil change, lube, filter, and free 10-point maintenance check while you watch. Save $3 by mentioning Rapid Oil Change's spring sale. The spring sale is good through May 15th. Remember, there is still one place you don't need an appointment.
If all you look for in a clothing store is low prices, they're not hard to find. But if you're looking for top quality clothing at extraordinary savings, that's another ballgame. And that's what Clothing Distribution Center is all about. Tremendous selection, famous brands, superb tailoring, luxury fabrics. That's the only kind of clothing you'll find here at Clothing Distribution Center. Shop us and get the fine quality clothing you really want at prices far below what you'd expect to pay.
Seems like we went from winter right into summertime with the weather we had today, but just very beautiful. We're going to see a bit of a cooling trend for tomorrow, but still temperatures well above where they should be for this time of year. Our high today in the Twin Cities a bit lower than what had earlier been forecast, 76, the official high. We had been earlier predicting around 80. 51 was our morning low. Average for this time of year, 60 and 38, the record 84, 1962, record low 26, 1956. Twin Cities as of 5 p.m. Sunny skies, temp still at 75, dew point at 40 degrees, the relative humidity at 28%. Winds from the southwest at 24, the pressure steady, 29.78 inches of mercury, no precipitation, monthly total remains the same. Here we have our low temperature map for this morning, and as you can see, we had just a pocket of 50s here in the portions of Minnesota extending into the Dakotas. Had to go down into Texas to see the similar temperatures. 40s widespread through the nation. Large area of 30s out toward the west and a large area of 30s down in the southeastern part of the country. Numerous new record lows were set down in that area. Satellite picture is now showing us mostly clear skies through our immediate region. You can see some of the lakes in northern Minnesota showing up quite well there. And then an area of cloudiness which is starting to extend out through portions of North and South Dakota. That is going to start moving our way, and there is a frontal system which is pretty much right out in that area now. It's bringing the clouds and the possibility of some scattered shower activity as the frontal system starts to come through. It's positioned now out through the Dakotas. It's already gone through Bismarck and Rapid City. The winds have shifted there, and as it moves through our area tonight, we will start to see some clouds in the sky. They will continue for tomorrow as well. The possibility of some isolated showers as well, and cooler temperatures, and the winds are going to be quite strong tomorrow from the northwest, possibly gusting up to 35 miles an hour. Scattered rain showers down through portions of Colorado, rain down through the southern part of the nation as well, and also scattered shower activity down in Florida where they receive up to 2 to 3 inches of rain in some areas. For us, though, it looks like it's going to be a very, very pleasant evening tonight and a great one for tomorrow as well. Here's our forecast now for the Twin Cities area. Partly cloudy skies, possible shower late, about a 20% chance of rain. Our lows tonight will range between 48 and 52 degrees with our winds from the southwest at 10 to 20. For tomorrow then, partly cloudy, cooler, possible shower, although we don't really think it's going to impair any outdoor activities you may have scheduled. 62 to 66 the high, northwest at 15 to 25 will be the winds. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, isolated shower, very isolated, 34 to 38 the low, and for Monday, partly cloudy, 52 to 56 daytime high.
You're still doing very well with that forecast. I love it.
Me too.
Thank you. Great day for playing baseball.
Outdoors in St. Louis.
Outdoor baseball in St. Louis.
Outdoor here, too, for the Gopher baseball team. A couple of remarkable streaks going.
Now is the time to do something about it. Trilogy Tours announces the lowest prices to California with flights to Los Angeles starting at just $189 and fares to San Francisco from just $199. Visit the movie capital of the world or leave your heart in San Francisco and stay 1 or 2 weeks. There has never been a better time or a better price. See your travel agent today and ask for the best prices to California.
Friends, have you entered the Tyson Chicken Quick Super Quick Sweepstakes yet? Well, you could win a week for 2 in London via a Real Quick Concorde or any one of 1,260 other prizes, like Quasar microwave ovens, Murray 10-speed bikes, Rival deep fryers, and Jock sport shoes. For rules and entry blank, check the May 1st TV guide, your favorite participating supermarket, or write to this address. But hurry, time's running out.
Saw a lot of signs of summer during the daytime today. People washing cars, out skateboarding, roller skating, and the first mosquito I saw this evening at about 20 minutes after 7. So we can expect mosquito bites coming up in the next couple of days. Our high temperature today in the Twin Cities was quite nice, 76 degrees after 51, our morning low. Average for this time of year, 60 and 38 for the lows, so about 16 degrees above normal. 84 the record, 1962. 26 in 1956 for the record low. Currently in the Twin Cities, partly cloudy skies, temperature at 64. The dew point at 40, relative humidity 41%. The winds now from the south, and they're getting a bit strong too, 17 gusting to 25. The pressure is now falling, 29.78 inches of mercury, no precipitation. Monthly total remains the same. Current satellite picture indicates the cloud cover that we now have over the region, and there's some scattered cloudiness starting to break out through the state of Minnesota. A lot of cloudiness down through the central part of the United States with a storm system down in the Gulf, which has been spreading some rain up through portions of Missouri and Arkansas down into Texas, and then a line of clouds through portions of the Dakotas, and that's where a cold front is going to be moving through, coming our way. It's going to bring more clouds to our state, the possibility of maybe some shower activity into tonight, tomorrow, or possibly tomorrow night. On the radar right now, storm search radar, 125 nautical mile range. We don't see any precipitation showing up yet. We thought maybe we might have some showers by this time, but nothing yet. Possibly later on tonight, though, we may see a few sprinkles forming out in the western portion of Minnesota. Well, on our national map, here's the frontal system. It's now portioned through the state of Minnesota down into the Dakotas. There has been some rain breaking out along this frontal system in the western portion of Nebraska. Also some rain from Colorado over to Missouri and down into the Gulf coast portion of the United States. Meanwhile, down in Florida, the heavy rain over the past 24 hours, 10 to 12 inches down to the Miami area. They're having some minor flooding problems down through there. Rain extending up through the Carolinas, and very cool temperatures in the eastern part of the country this morning. Numerous record lows were set from the Carolinas up into Virginia and Kentucky. 30, 35-degree readings were quite common there, and many new record lows were set, and that's in contrast to the 50-degree readings which we experienced throughout much of Minnesota for the daytime lows. As we said, the frontal system now is going to be moving through. We're not going to really see too much rain. It shouldn't really make any difference if you have plans for being outside tomorrow. Continue with those plans. We'll just see some very scattered sprinkles, or isolated sprinkles as they're called. Basically, as it comes through, the main difference is going to be the winds are going to be from the north instead of the south, and continues quite strong, possibly gusting up to 25 or 30 miles an hour. Here's our forecast tonight from News Center 11. Partly cloudy, possible shower late, 48 to 52 the low, with our winds from the southwest at 10 to 20. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, cooler, possible shower, possible lingering shower, 62 to 66 for the daytime high, northwest 15 to 25 the wind. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, isolated shower, 34 to 38 the low. For Monday, partly cloudy, 52 to 56 for the high. Extended outlook, fair and warmer for the period. 58 Tuesday, about 65 Wednesday. How about 72 for Thursday?
Go ahead with a picnic, though, if we have it planned for a month.
I think that sounds like fun.
Okay, thanks, Brent. There's a war hero living in Minneapolis.
Many colors and sizes. Risqués, they're my favorite. I'm getting 2 pair.
Stay a step ahead at Famous Footwear.
We saved a lot of money.
Step ahead.
Those of us who like pop and candy are paying a bit more for that enjoyment tonight because of today's new state sales tax. But Susan Wiese reports consumers don't seem to be as put out about it as those in charge of checkout counters.
There are more than 7,000 items in this grocery store, and overnight the price changed on almost 1/3 of them. To tack on Minnesota's new 5% sales tax to items on the shelves, Jack Heidemann spent the night reprogramming his computerized cash register. For example, now the price scanner will automatically ring up 8 cents for the state of Minnesota on this $1.89 bag of M&Ms. That's because the sales tax applies to candy and what might be considered candy products, like caramel-coated popcorn. A snack, a granola bar for instance, is exempt though because it's considered a breakfast food. The sales tax also applies to soft drinks and beverages which contain less than 15% fruit juice. When the label doesn't say what's inside, as in this case, well, the tax goes on. Heidemann says once his customers learn what is and is not taxable, they may change their buying habits to protest the new tax.
No frozen is taxable, even though you've got the same products, for instance, like Hawaiian Punch. Now, the already made Hawaiian Punch is taxable. The frozen concentrate is not taxable. So I think you're going to see them switch to the frozen rather than the can.
But buying habits don't change easily, and today the new tax was no deterrent to candy and pop sales.
Other states have had it for a long time, and I guess I felt we've been lucky not to have tax for this long, and I will continue to buy pop and candy.
If I'm asked to pay, that's the way it is. We need that tax in the state of Minnesota.
The sales tax on candy and pop is expected to generate $18 million for state coffers over the next 2 years. It's money Minnesota needs to balance its books. In St. Louis Park, Susan Wiese, News Center 11.
Another $25 million in new tax money will come from higher bar tabs. Today, the tax on liquor poured at a bar doubles to 10%. And with that comes some sobering news from the